Oh, wrong button. Ha ha. It's because it's just me today. There's no Cameron, not even a backup Cameron. And holy crap, guys. It's, we've already got, okay, I see Lindsay in the comments. I see Steve in the comments. And wow, before I even got past the intro, I'm getting spam on Twitch for somebody trying to sell me viewers. That's hilarious. So let's go ahead and that's basically what I reserved the banhammer for. I need to reset the counter. We haven't actually gotten through any articles yet, so I need to reset the counter over there. There are not yet any DOTs, DRTs, or BRMs. Oh! And I'll add a DOT to get us back up out of the negative. Steve, you're not wrong. You gotta admire that work ethic. And here, I have not added the comments section to my solo camera, so there's that. Fix that for you. And I'll go ahead and make that a little bigger. Let's go ahead and get that just boom, so you can read it good because there we go. That looks good. That looks good. All right. So, how we doing this morning? Glad to see, I got Krista, I got Lindsay, I got Steve. Good morning, good morning. I'm going to see Krista's kid in a play this evening. Looking forward to that. Got some setup to do. And yeah, so Steve mentions he was going to co-host today, but we've got to do a little more pre-planning before that. Let's go ahead and dig into these articles. And I think we'll probably just stick to this view for the rest of the show. I'll go ahead and get your comments on here as well. And we'll stick those up. We'll stick those right up there at the top. There. Watching me reformat and improve the show in real time. Just for y'all. Goody gumdrops. Okay, so our first story today comes from Chicago. Man shoots robber who was holding up woman at gunpoint in Kelman Heights. Okay. So we know he shot the robber. We don't know if it was fatal yet, so still don't get to put one up on the scoreboard. A man was holding up a woman at gunpoint in the Kelman Heights neighborhood late Tuesday when another man stepped in and shot the robber. Okay. No matter how this turns out, I already like the story. Good guy with a gun. A bad guy with a gun is only ever solved by a good guy with a gun. The best bad guy with a gun is a dead bad guy with a gun. In a situation where there's a bad guy with a gun and it is not resolved by another good guy with a gun, the bad guy becomes a slightly better guy when he offs himself to shut down the madness. Good guy with a gun always finishes off the situation with a bad guy with a gun. So, at 5:59 p.m., the 39-year-old woman was on the street in the 9,000 block of Southeast End Avenue when the robber walked up, took out a gun, and demanded her property. Then another man approached both the robber and the victim, took out his own gun, and shot the robber. The robber was wounded in the right leg and found his own way to Jackson Park Hospital where his condition was stabilized. So that's a BRM. All right, good guy with a gun. We appreciate your heroism, but we would more appreciate your judicious marksmanship. Time to take it back to the range there, buddy. And moving on. I might blow through these a little faster this morning. I don't know. Because part of the game is the back and forth banter on these. Let's see how the font is on this next one. I may crank it up for you. Retired deputy shoots injured armed man in gated community in Santa Clarita. That's already a BRM. Just an injury. So let's see. See if I can crank this text up for you a little bit so you can read it better. A retired LA County Sheriff's deputy shot and wounded an armed man who had forced his way into a gated community in Santa Clarita in a pickup truck. Officers from the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Station responded to the 15,900 block of Warm Springs Drive on Monday at about 2 in the afternoon after receiving a call about a traffic incident that was subsequently reported as a shooting, according to the LA County Sheriff's Department. They arrived at the scene to find a red Toyota Tacoma pickup truck that had crashed into a security gate in the community. The deputies determined that a man used the vehicle to force his way inside the sheriff's department. Well, I am a big proponent of putting as many rounds as are necessary into the front windshield of a charging vehicle. I can tell you from experience, if you have a gate that is meant to bar entry and someone is using a charging vehicle to smash through that gate, you are an absolute madman if you do not assume that that is a vehicle-borne IED. Now, it's less common and less probable domestically, but so is just charging through a gate with a vehicle. Once somebody has chosen to use a vehicle, to use a ramming device to break down an installed barrier, you should assume that their intent is counter to your own. Now, if Cameron were here, he would roll me back and say, but Chris, you defended the Capitol rioters. I hate that they're being called rioters by the asshole left. You defended them when they pushed past the cops. Well, let me be clear. If I was a cop in that situation, I'm going to deal with that threat accordingly. Now, that's if I am the cop in that situation. Here's the difference there. One, you're talking about the subjective response of the individual that is being faced with an imminent threat. Whereas in making a defense of the Capitol protesters, my point had more to do with discussing the nuance of the total situation, which begins with the Capitol protesters were justified in pushing past the police officers, in my opinion, because the very first thing that happened, the first inciting incident, is the fact that protesters, armed legally with the First Amendment protection of the right to assemble peacefully, and the right to petition their government for the redress of grievances, and the right to speak, from which combination we assume the right of protest, right? You can engage, you can practice, you can exercise any of your constitutionally guaranteed rights in any public place. Federal buildings are public property. Until you have been trespassed from that property by a legitimate authority, you have the right to perform any of your constitutionally guaranteed rights. That means if you want to gather peacefully, if you want to peacefully assemble, speak, and petition the government for redress of grievances, you can enter any public building like a courthouse or a post office or, I don't know, the Capitol building and do so. Once you've done that, if a legitimate authority, that is to say a police officer, although it should not be a police officer to begin with, it should be someone in the employ, managerially or on the security team, which in the case of a government building, might also be a police officer, and then your distinction between security team and police officer gets a little more muddy. But a legitimate authority in charge of that building or that building security has asked you to leave, and you have refused, and in response to your refusal to leave, a police officer has trespassed you from the building, which is to say that a police officer has come, conducted an investigation into the charges and claims of trespass, and the word trespass does not mean that it doesn't actually mean that you're somewhere you're not allowed to be. It means that you have been ejected from a place. To be trespassed, right? To be trespassed is to be told to leave, and then officially, in writing, with a citation that you can take to court and use as part of your argument, to be forced to leave by an authority. Right? Now, all that can happen without any physical confrontation, without any conflict, without any violence. Right? I walk into a post office with a camera, and I'm just filming things randomly. You know, take a little footage of the poster 7, take a little footage of just the employees doing their work. As long as I'm not going behind the counter, as long as I'm in the public area, I'm constitutionally protected, and that's been decided on by Supreme Courts over and over again. I can stand there and film all I want. If the postmaster comes and asks me to leave, I can tell him no. I refuse to leave. I'm going to continue to perform my constitutionally guaranteed right to film anything that I can see from a publicly accessible space. If he then calls the police and sends the police out to have me removed, I can tell the police, I refuse to leave. I am going to continue to stand here and perform my constitutionally protected activity. If they then, in response to my refusal, write me a citation forcing me to leave, at that point I'm going to leave with that citation. And then I'm going to sue the officer personally, the postmaster personally, the post office itself, the police department, the city, and or municipality involved. And with that citation, under those circumstances, I am going to win each of those suits, guaranteed. Except for perhaps, the personal lawsuit against the police officer. There's still a chance that in a particular jurisdiction or municipality, such a suit has not been brought and not yet vacated the possibility of that police officer using qualified immunity. Now, wow, okay, so I'm way down a rabbit hole, but now I'm on to qualified immunity. Let me give that just a little bit of treatment since I mentioned it here. There is a Alex, you're a little slow to the game. I already said qualified immunity. Here's the thing on qualified immunity. It only works once. Qualified immunity is not a police officer can do stuff and get away with it because he's a police officer. Qualified immunity is a police officer, a person in an official capacity, can make a mistake, assuming that they make that mistake. This is how qualified immunity works. Assuming that they made that mistake in the official conduct of their profession as an official representative of a government agency. If they've made a mistake, but it was made in good faith as they were trying to do the right thing, then they can be given immunity from prosecution. And after that has been done, no one else can claim qualified immunity for making the same mistake again. Once qualified immunity has been claimed over a mistake, it's no longer qualified immunity because the mistake has been adjudicated. That's That's part of the process of allowing qualified immunity, is first determining whether or not the thing that the official representative did was wrong, and then whether or not they should have known better. Well, once they've done something that was wrong and the court says, no, you shouldn't have known better because it's not something we've come to before. Once you've had that conversation, you get to say, okay, so you get qualified immunity. You don't get in trouble for this time. But the next time it happens, qualified immunity is off the table. That's there, and just like Steve says, it ensures that mistakes don't become standard practice. It's a way to learn from our mistakes. Now, qualified immunity is not applied perfectly, and there are defense attorneys who make their bones on taking a case where qualified immunity should be off the table because the mistake has been made before, and then they argue, well, no, but this time the mistake is different enough that it's a different mistake. Right? So that's really where the flaw in qualified immunity comes in. Qualified immunity itself is a good practice. But the flaw is not in the system. The flaw is in crooked-ass lawyers. You hire a liar, and he'll lie your way out of anything you want him to for the right price. And of course, once you start talking about the personal lawsuit against a police officer, it's not a question of whether or not the officer can afford his defense, because the police department and the city, county, or municipal government has a vested interest in making sure that qualified immunity goes uninterrupted as much as possible so that they can save it for later. Because cops are doing a lot of crooked shit out there. And it seems to me that more often than not, when you catch a cop doing bad stuff, it's not because they're being bad guys, it's because they don't know the law. I'm not a lawyer, but I read the Constitution on the shitter. I read case law recreationally. It's just something that I enjoy doing. Damn, we're almost 20 minutes in and I've only got through 2 stories. So anyway, if somebody's ever driving a pickup truck at you really fast and there's a gate between the two of you, shoot him in the face. Shoot him in the face a lot, because he might blow up. And I'm here to tell you, with my nice $4,000 Bluetooth hearing aids that the VA gave me, that getting blown up a few times, the first time's the worst. It gets better. It gets easier. But never take the easy way over the grape row, and never fail to put everything you have into that windshield. Let's see. Yeah, I've got these nice hearing aids. I got blown up. I probably took IDF at Kandahar a dozen times, but that's kind of far off. That's getting blown at more so than blown up. Motorcycle IED, 80mm recoilless at Sabelgay. Fucking mortars at damn, I don't even remember the name of that place. 5-6 times. 5-6 times. Anyway, so let's move on to the next one. CHL holder. CHL holder detains man accused in stabbing at Subway. Ooh, okay. Just a reminder. I don't read these articles beforehand. In fact, to the greatest extent possible, I pull them up without reading the headlines too closely. So, hey, this one comes out of Kerr County, Kerrville, Texas. A local ex-con accused of stabbing another man was detained at gunpoint by a concealed handgun license holder before being arrested. for the 29th time in Kerr County on suspicion of aggravated assault. Oh no. Okay, here's a downside to doing this way. I'm not going to sign up for these guys. I'm not going to pay these guys $1 to read the rest of their article. So, I'm not going to score this one either. It looks like the weapon wasn't fired. Now, but we have talked several times on this show about the rights of the authority of citizens to conduct a citizen's arrest. And I'll just go ahead and kind of summarize that briefly. Here's how citizen's arrest works. We get it from English common law. There is not a specific law within American law that grants you the authority for a citizen's arrest. The authority to conduct a citizen's arrest is presupposed from the traditions of English common law on which many of our legal traditions are founded, and then assumed to belong to the individual sovereign citizen. Now, when I say sovereign citizen, I am not talking about these nut jobs on the internet that drive around with no license plate and refuse to present ID and tell the cops, I'm a sovereign citizen, I'm part of a sovereign citizens movement, and so I don't have to capitulate to any of your authoritarian demands. That's not what I'm talking about. The actual concept of a sovereign citizen. We are the citizens of a nation which is formed with a central government for the cooperation of the separate state governments for the people, of the people, for the people, and by the people. And by the language of the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, any powers not explicitly enumerated to the federal government are reserved to the states and then to the people. So all authority which is not explicitly enumerated and delegated to the federal or state government is retained by the people. The law does not cede our authority to arrest and detain criminals to any body of government. Your authority to arrest criminals is identical to the authority of the police to arrest criminals, with two exceptions. You cannot enforce traffic law, and you cannot incarcerate a detainee. Okay? But if you can justify the arrest, you can conduct a citizen's arrest. Now, in order to justify that arrest, you need reasonable, articulable suspicion. The closer you are to the crime occurring, and the more directly you are an eyewitness, the more likely you are to have this arrest adjudicated correctly. So the correct process, assuming that you have witnessed the crime or have direct knowledge of the crime and evidence to support the crime, you can detain someone, which does not mean at gunpoint. Right? You don't necessarily have to detain someone at gunpoint. Detaining someone for a crime can be as simple as, yo, I know you did it. I'm calling the police. Don't go nowhere. You don't have to make a physical threat. And it's probably better if you don't make a physical threat. Right? Don't say, don't go nowhere or I'll shoot you. Right? How many times have I said, I don't make physical threats? I personally don't make threats because the mere fact of me is a threat. There's a little more to that story, but moving right along. So where there are laws relating to citizen's arrest, what they do is they clarify the circumstances under which the reasonable expectation of a citizen's arrest to earn you, not qualify you, to earn you immunity, actual immunity from certain activities, like if you have to pull the trigger and defend yourself from a criminal that you've attempted to detain while waiting for the police to come and take that person into custody for the purposes of eventual prosecution, conviction, and incarceration, assuming that you've selected a correct target. Under correct circumstances, as detailed by laws, then you have certain immunity and expectations. You're granted a certain expectation of immunity. It works very much like self-defense law. There is no law that grants you the authority to defend yourself. That is an inherent right. You have the absolute right to defend yourself. Where there are laws on the books in various states that address self-defense, what they do is they clarify the circumstances and attributes of a self-defense case. In most places where you have something like a stand your ground law or castle doctrine law, what the law does is it says if these circumstances are met in a case where it's clear-cut self-defense, then the victim, that is to say, the person who was forced to defend themselves, shall not even be arrested, let alone prosecuted. Now, that's not exactly how it works in all cases, but that's kind of the general thrust of most of the stand your ground, castle doctrine, or make my day laws. I don't remember. I think we did a story about it about 2 months ago. I think I want to say it was Colorado where they called it the make my day law, and honestly, I almost packed my shit up and moved right then. So, citizen's arrest is absolutely a thing. It is an authority that you absolutely have, and it is an authority that you should exercise with extreme caution. Right? And I don't just mean be careful when you're approaching a criminal. I mean, you had best to be damn certain before you engage in a citizen's arrest that you are on the right side of that question. You need to be damn certain. And the correct way to go about it is to immediately call the police. In fact, you'd be best served if you have some functional way, like a Bluetooth device, where you can call the police and be on the phone with 911 or the local police department, wireless, with your hands free. And you keep talking to the police until they get there. You keep somebody on the phone until an officer comes and takes over the situation. And yes, Lindsay says citizen's arrest can be a slippery slope. It almost just depends on the judge. Part of how that works, part of that is there will be, once the citizen's arrest has been conducted, the police have taken him into custody, there will be an investigation, which may or may not culminate in a prosecution. If the investigation does not culminate in a prosecution, there's a good chance that the person you citizens arrested can file civil litigation against you. They'd have to meet a pretty high bar to file a criminal suit against you, or to file charges, but to file a civil suit would probably be a much easier route to go, and that's the one that I would probably plan on. Okay, so man shoots alleged intruder in Everett. Ooh, we don't know what happened yet. We know that he's shot. We don't know how it went yet. A man shot an alleged burglar trying to break into his home Saturday night, according to police. The burglary and shooting was reported around 10 p.m. in the 3600 block of... Okay, I'm going to try that again. In the 3600 block of Tulalip Avenue in the Rucker Hill area of Everett, police spokesman Aaron Snell said, Tulalip That's come tiptoe through the At this point in the investigation, it sounds like someone attempted to burglarize a residence. The gunshot victim, a male whose age was not immediately available, was taken to Providence Regional Medical Center, Everett. Snell did not know the gunshot victim's condition. Okay, well, I guess we're going to call that a BRM because we didn't get a DOT confirmation on it. Weak sauce. No, damn. I hate to get through a whole Friday without even a DOT, let alone a good DRT. But let's see what we get. Man dead after possible home invasion in Cuyahoga Falls. Cuyahoga Falls. All right. Cleveland, Ohio. A Cuyahoga Falls resident called police Saturday morning and told them he had shot a home intruder. The shooting occurred in the 2200 block of Richmond Road shortly before 5:45 a.m., according to a Cuyahoga Falls police press release. Police say they found a 41-year-old man with gunshot wounds in the home. He was pronounced dead at 6 a.m. The man's identity has not been released pending the notification of his family. The incident is currently undergoing investigation by the Cuyahoga Falls Police Department and the Bureau of Criminal Investigations. He was pronounced dead. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to call that a DRT. It says he was pronounced dead. It doesn't say anything about he was pronounced dead at the hospital. So he was found with gunshot wounds in the home and pronounced dead at 6 a.m. Yeah, okay, that's a DRT. Yeah! We got one! Dead bad guy. That just made my day. It's a step in the right direction. I don't have much more to say about that. Don't try to rob people's homes. Because they might have a gun. All right. Excuse me. This one is archived, but it's from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Man shoots woman in Fort Worth, security guard shoot him. Police say both critical. A man shot a woman during a domestic dispute early Saturday at a Northwest Fort Worth business, striking her critically in the upper torso, and security guards shot at the man, police say. He too was struck in the upper torso, and he and the woman were both in critical condition Saturday morning. Officers were dispatched to the 3100 block of North Main Street around 5 a.m. Saturday after a caller reported there was a shooting but didn't offer many details. According to Officer Tracy Carter, a police spokesman. Police confirmed a man and a woman sustained critical gunshot wounds to the upper torso. Shooting was reported at a fashion accessory store, Gold Rush. An argument between the man and woman possibly preceded the man shooting at the woman. He shot her, police said, and security guards at the location fired at the man. That's a BRM. Nobody's dead. I kind of hate to count that one as a BRM though, because the bad guy's not dead, but it sounds like the woman's not dead either. Obviously the best case scenario here, we hope the woman pulls through and the bad guy doesn't. But that's fair, right? Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Moving on. No, I don't want push notifications from you. Oh, there's a headline. Dad shot his daughter's ex after the man followed her despite restraining order, police say. Shoo, buddy. Dad shot his daughter's ex after the man followed her despite restraining order, police say. How many times? Because I've got a bunch of daughters. My buddy's got a bunch of daughters. My other buddy, my buddy's got most of my buddies have a bunch of kids. 3 or 4. Some more. I know some with 7. One on the way. Type of stuff. How many times have we mused and giggled and joked about what it's going to be like when the daughters start dating? She's going to bring Studley home to meet mommy and daddy, and Daddy's going to be sitting in the living room. That's right, we call it the Horde for a reason. my eldest daughter, when she brings her first date home, he'll probably find Daddy sitting by a fire pit in the backyard in nothing but a kilt, drinking scotch and sharpening my battle axe. Yeah, you wish I was cleaning a shotgun, little buddy. You wish. So, Dad shot his daughter's ex after the man followed her despite restraining order. Now, in fairness, I'm willing to give most sharp, clean young men a chance to show me that they, can earn a living and not fall over. I'll give him a chance. Give him a chance to talk. Right? He can talk. We can have a conversation while I polish my axe. Why not? But it looks like here we're talking about an ex, some stalking maybe. A man with a restraining order against him was shot during an altercation outside his ex-girlfriend's family's home late Wednesday, police said. The shooting happened on Houston's south side before 11 p.m. Police said a woman saw her ex-boyfriend following her, so she drove to her parents' home. When she pulled in the driveway, the ex allegedly blocked her in. Okay. Hey, Thomas joined us. Morning. So, before I get any further, good job, sweetheart. This is the correct answer. I don't care if my youngest baby girl has been grown up and moved out of the house for 10 years. And, hopefully, within 10 years of moving out of the house, she's found somebody and they're married and they're doing things right. But, say my youngest is 30 and she hadn't met the right guy yet. She's got an ex following around, stalking her. Yes. The correct answer is to drive to Daddy's house. You call me on your way, and I will be ready when you arrive. I will be ready when you arrive. But this one goes in the BRM category because please believe, the stalker will probably never leave my yard. Now, come on. That's not complicated. You show me a man who's intent on hurting one of my daughters, and I will show you a prison sentence that I won't argue with. I will pay that price. I will write that check any day of the week. The woman's father came outside with a pistol and said the boyfriend made a threatening move, so he opened fire on him. The ex was shot at least once and then got back in his vehicle and sped away from the scene, calling for an ambulance at airport in Cullen. He was then taken to the hospital with a wound at his hip. No names have been released and no charges have been filed as of early Thursday, but police said the man who was shot could face charges for violating the restraining order. Okay, I already marked this one as a BRM because obviously Daddy here needs to goes back to training. But I'm going to do something. I don't think I've ever done this before, but I'm going to do a little something for this guy because he did the right thing. Even if he could have and should have done it better, I'm going to give this guy just this the first time ever, an honorary DRT because it's our highest scoring position and he deserves a little something more than a simple go back to the range and learn how to shoot. So, first time ever, honorary DRT. What do you think, guys? All right. Well, I think that we've been at this for just over 40 minutes. We've done 7 stories. I've got 4 more. We're going to do the last 4. We're going to go ahead and do the last 4. Good on you, Daddy, for taking care of your baby girl. That's what this world needs. Daddies to stick around and raise them babies. Good on you. Now, police. Attempted armed robber shot, killed inside Myrtle Beach home. Damn. Right off the headline, that is a DRT. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Myrtle Beach police revealed that an armed robber was shot and killed at a home on Monday night. Officers were called to the shooting around 6 p.m. Monday in the 500 block of 34th Avenue North. Responding officers found 2 people hurt inside the home. Both were taken to the hospital, but one person succumbed to their injuries while the second person is expected to be okay. Aww. Okay, I gotta take it back. It's a DOT. It'll be alright. It'll be alright. He and the other person knew each other previously, and there was no evidence of forced entry into the home. During the armed robbery attempt, the deceased suffered a gunshot wound. The name of the person who was shot and killed has not been released. The investigation is ongoing. Back the hell up. Self-defense claim, a potential in Concord fatal shooting, according to the AG. Sorry, Terrence. I didn't mean to just laugh at you. I just wasn't ready for it. I was not ready for it. Terrence Wigglesworth was shot and killed on Saturday after a disturbance at the Firehouse Block Apartments on Warren Street. Oh, I'm sorry, Terrence. I don't mean... I mean, we're going to read the article. There's a good chance you deserve to get shot. I'm not laughing at you getting shot, though, right now. I'm not. Wigglesworth. I just wasn't ready for it. I was not ready for the Wigglesworth. Concord, New Hampshire. The New Hampshire Attorney General's office announced the name of an autopsy information for a man who was shot and killed at the Firehouse Block Apartments on Warren Street on Saturday. Shot and killed at the Firehouse Block Apartments. Terrence Isaiah Wigglesworth, a homeless man with several prior criminal incidents and interactions with Concord police, was killed around 11:30 a.m. According to police dispatch witnesses and scanner chatter, a caller from the complex called police accusing Wigglesworth banging on the door of an apartment and then hearing gunshots. Excuse me. Lindsay says poor Terrence is in a better place, somewhere where they don't have last names, or homeless people. So according to dispatch, was banging. Police and firefighters responded to the building and found Wigglesworth suffering from a gunshot wound on the 4th floor of the complex, according to Kate Giaquinto, the director of communications for the Attorney General's office. Kate, I'm sorry if I butchered that. That's a tough one. I'm pretty good at those. Earlier today, Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Janine V. Duval conducted an autopsy on Mr. Wigglesworth and determined that the cause of his death was a single gunshot wound to the chest. Dr. Duval concluded that the manner of his death is homicide and used by the officer of the Chief Medical Examiner. Homicide is defined as the killing of one person by another. That is correct. When someone is attacked by someone else and uses lethal force to defend themselves, that is in fact a homicide. But just a reminder for Sheriff Levitt, it is not murder, you idiot. But that goes on the we're up to 3 DRTs. Moving right along. Again, for perspective, Steve says, again, for perspective, you are to believe that there is no reason civilians should own firearms. These stories release every single day. Yep. Abso-freaking-lutely. So, 2 more. Hesperia homeowner fends off intruder in gun battle caught on camera. Whoa! Whoa. Do we have the footage? Are you going to show me? I don't care about WandaVision. Or whatever the hell that is. Is it over yet? Come on. So, screw you. Aha! Okay, I'm going to read the story and then we're going to watch the video. Yay! I will, hang on, let me do a little housekeeping here real quick. Make sure that video is muted and then allow video to be unmuted and we'll see what we get. Zaluska mentions belt-fed machine guns. I'm not going to get into this right now, but Zaluska, you mentioning belt-fed machine guns, I want everybody to go take a look. Go pop on some Google, see if you can find the article. I'll probably pull it up and do a story about it soon. But there are reports now that after Nancy Pelosi attempted to conduct a military coup 1 week before the inauguration, as they were ramping up with thousands, right, with more troops in the Capitol than we used in recent conflicts, Nancy Pelosi explicitly requested crew-served machine guns. For those of you not in the know, that would be your squad automatic weapon M249, which fires 5.56 from a closed bolt, or your another good crew-served weapon in the 7.62 caliber in the U.S. arsenal would be the M240 Bravo. We still have M60s, so they might have got there, but yeah, those are like Lindsay says, those are the Rambo guns. Zaluska, I think you've put your hands on my 240 Bravo and my 247. I've my 249 rather. My 249 is the modified paratrooper stock version where it collapses, so it's a little lighter weight, but it's still a saw. Anyway, and yeah, squad automatic weapon. I was in a unit for a while where we had to qual on everything quarterly. And at that time, I was so good with the saw and the 240 Bravo that at a half a football field, I could write my name on a pretty small piece of cardboard. Just, it's been a hot minute. I haven't practiced that in a long time. So a Hesperia Falls homeowner fended off an armed man who was trying to break into his home, exchanging gunfire until the man ran away. I'm just going to leave it there. Go back to the range, sweetheart. That's enough. Guard exchanges gunfire with car thief in Wicker Park. A Walgreens security guard exchanged gunfire Monday night with a man who stole his car, which he left running outside the Wicker Park store, according to a CPD report. North Milwaukee? No one was struck by the gunfire, and the thief ditched his car nearby. We're done. Y'all just need to go. Y'all just need to go pull triggers. Get your asses to the range. 7 BRMs, guys. 7. The only reason we got up to 3 DRTs today is because somebody got an honorary one for being a stand-up, honorable guy and doing the right thing, defending his daughter's honor. 7 BR... America, I'm disappointed. Y'all need to at least get yourself an airsoft gun and plink soda cans in the backyard, something. Y'all need to... Fundamentals, guys. Steady sight picture. Constant breathing, controlled breathing. Right? Steady position, clear sight picture, controlled breathing, and squeeze, don't pull the trigger. Rest your trigger just after the click. Don't release it all the way. Hold through the breath and release in the natural pause in the pulmonary valley. You will hit your target. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. So, that said, let's go ahead and wrap up this slightly longer than usual Firearms Friday. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I really enjoyed the back and forth in the chat. It's been a good Friday. I've got a busy weekend ahead of me. I got a play to shoot today. I got a funeral. I got to go shoot a funeral tomorrow, and then on Sunday I'm going to talk to a couple in Macon that I'm going to shoot in February. To be clear, I know it's Firearms Friday, so I should probably avoid the ambiguity here. I do mean, in these cases, with a camera. I'm producing videos for these people. Just so we're clear. But, in fairness, one of the reasons I got into cinematography after I got out of the Army is so that I could retain my professional job description as being someone who goes out into the world and shoots people and then cuts them up in my basement. Because camera and editing, it's fun. So, that'll be coming on a t-shirt soon, by the way. And, yeah. So, it is Friday. That means safety brief. Y'all. I do a pretty standard safety brief most Fridays. Don't drive drink, don't fry bacon naked, sex, drugs, rock and roll, videotape farm animals. No two at the same time. Joe Biden is the president now. And as we have already seen, immediately after his inauguration, Antifa ramped up violence and started burning things down. Now, it is true, statistically, that the redder your district, the safer you are. Let me say that a different way so you understand it clearly. You are more likely to suffer harm at the hands of violent criminals. Your probability of suffering harm at the hands of violent criminals increases as the percentage of Democrat voters in your area increases. That statement is categorically true. The bluer your district, the more likely you are to be murdered by a criminal. Joe Biden is the president now. He is actively seeking to eliminate your liberties and confiscate your means of self-defense. The Democrats, for a very long time, have hated that there is a Constitution. That men with guns, that being our armed forces, our armed services, are sworn and duty bound to defend that Constitution with firearms against even domestic enemies, which would be anyone who seeks to undermine or damage or repeal the Constitution, is the only active threat that prevents the enemy from consuming your liberties and eliminating your livelihood and your prosperity entirely. Now, we've seen with the COVID lockdowns, and we've seen with the rise of radical left-wing extremist violence, that even an armed military is not sufficient for the scope creep of the enemy left to devour this nation. So, this is my safety brief. Do not leave your home unarmed. There's a good chance that you will never be the victim of an attempted burglary or of an attempted murder. There's a very good chance. We still live in a relatively free country, in a relatively safe country. It's got some dark spots. It's got some spots where you don't want to go at night. It's got some spots where the pizza delivery drivers aren't allowed to drive because the chances that they get robbed exceed the chances that they don't. But that's not everywhere. Know where you are. Don't go where you shouldn't. And go nowhere unarmed within the confines of the law to the best of your ability. Because even though you are not yourself as likely to be harmed if you are careful, as likely to be the victim of crime, if you are careful and maintain your situational awareness, keep your head on a swivel and pay attention where you are, the chance that you are witness to a crime into which you could intercede and save someone's life, liberty, or property are higher than the chances that you will have to defend yourself. If you can be the good guy with a gun that saves somebody's life, do it. Be someone's hero. And you cannot be someone's hero if you are not prepared to do it. Study the law. Study your area. Know where you should and should not be. And be prepared when you go anywhere. I love you. I'll see you Monday. Y'all be safe out there. And have a great weekend.